I know you love earning travel rewards and cash back, and that's why you're going to love Rakuten. With Rakuten, you can earn cash back on everything you need to book your dream trip, hotels, flights, rental cars, experiences, and more, while still booking through your favorite travel sites. And don't worry, cash back can be earned on top of earning the credit card points and the hotel and airline loyalty points that matter most to you, depending on how you make your booking. Plus, with Rakuten, you can also earn cash back on groceries and other purchases like electronics, pet supplies, and more. And the best part, you can join today for free and start earning cash back on top of your travel rewards. Go to Rakuten.com or get the app. That's Rakuten, Rakuten. Rakuten, the most rewarding way to shop.
This episode is brought to you by TaxAct. Don't do your taxes alone. Join TaxAct's National Admin Night. Admin nights are social gatherings for getting through your to-do list. So get ready for a night of fun, finding deductions, and filing taxes with TaxAct, where you can file your federal and state return for just $49 through April 8. Let's get together and get them over with. Visit taxact.com/admin-night for details.
I decided, I want to meet the best version of me, and I don't want to die with dreams. When I die, I want to die with memories. I want to be able to look back and say, I really lived because I took chances that other people maybe wouldn't take.
That is today's guest, Shakeemah Smith, and I love this name she came up with for herself, the Passport Abuser, because she has traveled to nearly 100 countries solo, and along the way, she has helped over 12,000 people learn how to fly for free and ace their first solo trip. And in this interview today, you're going to hear why travel is your birthright, not a luxury, how solo travel can help you learn to enjoy your own company. Shakeemah shares her top travel hacking strategies to help you fly cheaper or even free, some of her favorite Caribbean destinations most people overlook, and how she ended up moving to that part of the world, and so much more happening right now. So buckle up, strap in. Thanks for being here, and welcome to the Zero to Travel podcast, my friend.
You're listening to the Zero to Travel podcast, where we explore exciting travel-based work, lifestyle, and business opportunities, helping you to achieve your wildest travel dreams. And now your host, world wanderer and travel junkie, Jason Moore.
Hey, it's Jason here with ZeroToTravel.com. Welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging out, letting me bring a little travel into your ears today. This is the show to help you travel the world on your terms, to fill your life with as much travel as you desire, no matter what your situation or experience. And Shakeemah's journey is what you'll hear today. It really offers a lot of practical tactics, but also insights, some food for thought, and some reframes, I think. I think that's one of the most powerful things about this conversation, and conversations in general. Maybe one of the main reasons why you even listen to podcasts. I know for me, it's these new perspectives that can help you reframe how you think about something. And I think in this case, for some of us, maybe just a reminder that travel is attainable, is affordable, and for others, maybe some new reframes, some new perspectives. And if you want to dive in deeper to Shakeemah Smith's work, you could check out our website, travellikeaboss.com, which we'll link up to in the show notes. That's BAWSE, travellikeaboss.com. If you stick around on the back end, I will also leave you with a quote that I think wraps this one up nicely. And don't forget, we have a newsletter for the community here, zerototravel.com/newsletter. You can sign up for free over there, send it out once a week. Please enjoy my conversation with Shakeemah. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the other side, my friend. Cheers. Shakeemah Smith, a.k.a. the Passport Abuser. Welcome to the Zero to Travel podcast, my friend. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
What a pleasure, because we both are from the East Coast. So we're gonna get our East Coast on today, or at least that's my plan. I mean, whenever I get to connect with a fellow East Coaster, I feel like I don't know, the energy amps up a little bit.
Right.
What did your East Coast upbringing do for you in terms of your mindset, would you say? Kind of like being raised in that area? Because it is a unique place to grow up in many ways.
Right. So, I'm from New Jersey. I'm from East Orange, New Jersey, which is like a really small urban town. But growing up in this East Coast kind of vibe taught me a lot because, typically people up north are like very like hustle and bustle. Everything is go. But the beautiful thing about growing up with such a close proximity to New York meant possibilities. You're meeting a lot of different people from a lot of walks of life. And my mom used to always say, like, the world is so much bigger than you know. But my mom has 6 kids. So it wasn't always easy for us to travel. And, growing up in New York, you meet so many people from, India or Guyana. Like there's always some different walk of life that it's easier to come into contact with. And I think that's when I started wanting to travel as a child, just meeting people, within New Jersey and within New York that were just from different places that really intrigued me.
Yeah, and ways being from the New York area and being exposed to that, you are, in a sense, traveling. I still remember my first time in New York. It was one of my most vivid travel memories, I would say, even though we were just, an hour and a half on a train to the city. But stepping out into Manhattan and just like the pulse of humanity everywhere, it was just like, whoa. And it was, I think it was a sudden realization, very much the same, like, wow, like the world's way bigger than I thought it was or could have even conceived that it was at the time.
Right. It's like, growing up with such a close proximity to New York and being exposed to first generation Haitians and immigrants of other countries, it's just kind of like, okay, wow, anything is possible. And what is this food that your family makes for us after school? And it was just a lot going on. So, you're absolutely right. It's like traveling without traveling, tasting the food from Jamaica and meeting friends who their parents are from the Ukraine. And it's like, I've never heard of Kiev, so it was definitely like a really good fusion and a great like starter experience with being more cultured.
Yeah, it's beautiful in that way. And but also in the sense like being from the area, like it's almost like the world comes to you, right? And then for me, and I know this is part of your story as well, because I had the sort of same perception of travel. Like we didn't grow up going overseas or doing any of these big fancy trips that some people have the privilege to take growing up. And so like to me, overseas travel was like, it just didn't even seem like a real thing that you could do. Like I didn't have a role model that was like, oh yeah, you could do, and until I got to college where I started meeting other people who studied abroad and did different things. And even then it felt like this sort of elusive kind of thing reserved for other people. And, just from some of the research I did for the chat on your website, Travel Like a Bawse, which we'll link up to, I love that name. It sounds like it was kind of a very similar thing for you, like kind of this conception of, travel, sort of this luxury thing. When did the mindset shift for you? It sounds like you didn't have a lot of people growing up around you that were traveling overseas a bunch either.
Yeah. So it really started for me, I would say like in 2008. I took my first trip ever out of the country, and I fell in love with travel in that moment.
Was this the breakup trip?
This was not the breakup trip.
Okay.
This was not the breakup trip. This was like literally my first ever passport stamp.
Okay.
In 2008, I was 22 years old. I had just graduated from college, and my mom and dad said, you know what, we're going to gift you a trip to Jamaica. My mom is half Jamaican. And so I said, okay, this is wonderful. I went to Jamaica. I had the best time. And from there, I'm like, you know what? I really love to travel. I love the way I feel. And so even though the travel bug bit me, the light bulb still did not go off in my head that, hey, you know what? How can I make this from a luxury to my birthright? The transition didn't happen in my head. I then took the traditional route and started saving up all year to take another trip. Then I decided, you know what? how can I flip my bills into boarding passes? Like, what are the other ways that I could travel? Being the oldest of 6 children, growing up in such an urban city, my mom had to be very resourceful because she had a lot of kids, So growing up, I was just like, you know what? How can I do the most with the least amount of resources? And that's when I started looking at my bills and how I can flip those into boarding passes. 2008, I was getting my master's degree and I really wanted to purchase my first home. But when I went to a bank, they said, you know what? Your debt to income ratio is high. We're going to need you to pay off some of these credit cards and pay down some of your student loans. And from there, you can qualify for a conventional FHA mortgage. So getting my master's degree, I wasn't able to take out loans for it because I knew that simultaneously I wanted to purchase a home. And since I couldn't use loans or credit cards until I purchased said home, the light bulb went off in my head about how can I travel the world without actually having any resources, even cash or credit cards.
Right. Which doesn't sound like it's possible, of course, but as listeners of this show know, well, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't possible, right? Having gone to now, over 60 countries or something like that.
92.
90. Okay. Oh, wow. You're over now. Okay. You got to update your website then.
I got to update the website.
That's great. That's awesome. But we're going to get into a list of some of your tips for flying for free without using credit cards and with, the traditional quote unquote travel hacking, which a lot of people hear. I thought this is cool to have you on because you're kind of giving a fresh approach to this. But I don't want to hear a little bit more about your story. It's okay. So, you mentioned this idea, and I saw it on your website too, of travel being your birthright, and that's a big mindset shift, and that's an actual term that I haven't heard used on this show before. Which to me it sounds very much like my intuition tells me that this was like a term you landed on because it was the most empowering way to think of it. Would that be the right thing? Because a birthright is kind of like this isn't just a choice. This is something like, I'm allowed to do this. Like, this is meant for me in a way.
Absolutely. So a lot of people say, I can't travel because I'm too broke. Right. And, it's just so expensive, and people have a lot of mental blocks before they even get to the finances or the implementation, the actionable steps to really being able to do this. It really all kind of starts in your mind. And so the first thing that I do is tell people, hey, listen, if God wanted you to stay in the same place, you be the tree in your backyard, you would not have consciousness, awareness, arms, legs, will, and so I tell people, hey, listen, this is not something that's for the elite. Your children seeing the 7 wonders of the world is not something for the elite only, but I need you to change your mindset about what's possible for you. It's your birthright to see the entire world. Some people are religious, some people are spiritual, some people are atheists. So everybody has their different walks of life and principles that guide their everyday actions. However, for me, I am a believer of God, and I just believe that, if all of this on earth was created for me, for humans, why am I not able to see it if it's here? Like, there's so much splendor around all different parts of the world, whether domestically or internationally. Why am I not allowed to see that? Right? Like, that is abundance in and of itself. Like, having that worldly experience, even having your eyesight, for me is abundance, So, for me, it was just like, you know what? This is not for some people. And for me, this poor girl growing up in the, quote unquote hood, it doesn't mean that I am any less deserving of having the same experiences as everyone else.
Yeah, the idea of abundance. I mean, sounds like that's a pretty strong core principle for you.
I would say so. But really, more than abundance, it's really just about gratitude and about self-expression and exploration. There's been so many different tropes in my life that have come from 92 countries of solo travel. you know?
You mentioned self-expression. Do you feel like, and I think this might resonate with some of the listeners here, because I did feel in a sense that, and I don't think this is for everybody, but there's, however we're built, I can't explain, but it feels like for a lot of us that come to the show, guests and listeners included, there's a sense that travel is a form of self-expression to the point where it's almost undeniable.
Yes. Like for me specifically, travel, especially solo travel, because you can travel all around the world with a family member or a loved one. Specifically, the solo traveling, it really helped me step into my confidence and learn how to trust myself. Like me being the oldest of 6 siblings, I was constantly in a group setting where maybe I wouldn't know what to do if I'm alone, because I know I have 4 brothers and 2 sisters, right? Well, I have four brothers, a sister and a stepsister. But, I have a lot of siblings, and I'm like, you know what? I don't even know how to enjoy my own company. I have been with other people since birth, and my dad had a daughter before he met my mom. So I've actually never been alone. I don't know what that's like. And so for me, it was just like, okay, do I know what to do in the event of an emergency and my brothers are not there and my mom isn't there to back me up or my dad isn't there? Can I actually enjoy my own company? Because, it was really sad to admit it to myself, Jason, but I was a 30-year-old woman who really felt uncomfortable even to go to dinner by myself. I'm never alone. So I'm like, Shakeemah, you're in your 30s. You have to kind of, I wouldn't call it codependency because, you just come from a big family, but it's like, hey, I really don't know how to do anything alone. I've never lived alone. So for me, it was really big to prove to myself, not to anybody else, that number one, I can enjoy my own company. Number two, I can learn to trust my own instincts because I know how to keep myself safe. Not that I'm with my family all the time. So there were so many things that I had to learn about myself. But growing up in a big family, you can never really quiet the noise in your brain or around you that often. You go to school with your siblings, you come home with your siblings, they go with you to the orchestra class because I play the violin, my sister plays the cello. So you're never alone. And I'm like, hey, can I be alone without a man in my adult life at this point and without family or friends? Who am I outside of all of that when everything's quiet?
We'll get back to the interview in just a moment. I know you love earning travel rewards and cash back, and that's why you're going to love Rakuten. With Rakuten, you can earn cash back on everything you need to book your dream trip: hotels, flights, rental cars, experiences, and more, while still booking through your favorite travel sites. And don't worry, cash back can be earned on top of earning the credit card points and the hotel and airline loyalty points that matter most to you, depending on how you make your booking. Plus, with Rakuten, you can also earn cash back on groceries and other purchases like electronics, pet supplies, and more. And the best part, you can join today for free and start earning cash back on top of your travel rewards. Go to Rakuten.com or get the app. That's Rakuten, Rakuten. Rakuten, the most rewarding way to shop.
Kraft Mac and Cheese is better than 90s hip-hop. We'll remind you of your childhood without making you feel incredibly old. Kraft Mac and Cheese. Best thing ever.
Now, back to the show. The first solo trip was the kind of, you had a big breakup type of situation, right? And then all of these questions, it sounds like, wanting to kind of lean into the exploration of self. And you took off and you went to Paris. And I guess, you gave yourself the mental and physical space to do all these things you're talking about just by like leaving the country and going. Just take us back a bit. Like, this was your first big solo trip. How did you feel kind of stepping on the plane? And, what were some of your fears and what was the experience in the end for you?
Oh my gosh, Jason, I was a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was going through so much emotionally, physically, mentally, that taking my first solo trip was nothing compared to all the other things that I was really trying to deal with. Like even just talking to you now and going deep and putting myself back on the plane, like I'm almost in tears. Like, so I was going through a really, really bad breakup at the time. And that was one situation that was playing over and over again in my head. I had been with this person for many years. And the breakup was super sudden. I had found out some things that I did not know about this person. And for me, omission was the same as telling me a lie, pretty much. I felt that it was a little too easy for this person to live a double life. And for that, I felt if I don't know this one important thing about you, it's very hard for me to continue with intimacy or us living together. And why don't I know this if we live together and we're getting married in 3 months? Why didn't I know about this?
Okay, you were engaged.
We were engaged.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
We were engaged.
Yeah.
And from there, I decided if you're not being honest with me before the wedding and I know about it, I can't actually expect that you'll be honest within a marriage. And because of the lapse of trust, even before the big commitment, I would like to gracefully bow out. But of course, it hurt me. Wedding is in 3 months. People have already purchased their flights to come to this wedding. Like, it was just a lot. So I decided to go on a trip with my girls. And when I went on a trip with my girls immediately after the breakup, we kind of had a little disagreement. And I said, okay, you know what? I'm going through a breakup. Right now, my friends, they're going through something in their own life too. I think the only thing that would make me feel good is to travel, but alone. Like I'm kind of having a little bit of discourse with my friend. I also just had a breakup. So maybe this is like my cue from the universe to say, you know what, girl, you can't always run to a man to soothe you. You can't always run to your friends because they're human. They're having a very human experience too. So it's okay if they're not always in the best headspace either. And the only thing that I could count on that would soothe me was really travel. And I was talking to my therapist, and she said, listen, trauma bonding is a real thing. I want you to write a list of things that you like without anyone else around, and I'm like, travel, it makes me feel good. When I go for a run, that makes me feel good. So we started leaning into things that would make me feel good without me depending on anybody else to be the person that made me feel good. And, that's when I really realized, Jason, like, you know what? You depend on other people. You run to other people to soothe you. You don't actually soothe yourself. I didn't realize that, when you're having a bad day, you call your man, you call your woman. You're having a bad day, you're single, you call your friends. But how do you deal with your problems with yourself? And I'm like, oh, bingo, I don't know how. Right. And so that was being 30 and realizing I don't know how to be alone. I'm uncomfortable alone. And my therapist is like, what do you mean you're uncomfortable alone? And I'm like, I know that sounds crazy, but I've never actually been alone and I don't know how to deal with anything by myself. I call my mom. Like, I don't know. And so travel was me expressing to myself, yes, you can do life alone if you had to. You can explore the world still and do the things that you enjoy and you don't need anybody with you. So it was just a lot of things happening at the time that I'm like, you know what? I would rather solo travel than my girlfriend be upset with me because she wants to stay on the resort and I don't. If we came to Kuwait, why are we staying at this resort? Didn't we? You don't want to see Kuwait, So
Yeah.
Then it's like I'm the Debbie Downer because I don't want to do the same things as her, but I'm here to explore. So solo travel chose me. I didn't choose solo travel. It chose me.
Okay. No, that's a great way. I mean, but it's so cool because you were also, you were willing to dive into all of it. You know what I mean? It's one thing to kind of know about yourself okay, yeah, I'm uncomfortable being alone, or an example like a practical situation like going out to dinner alone or whatever. It's one thing to kind of know that, but it's another thing to then, okay, well, I know this, and I want to get comfortable with that. So I'm going to put myself out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to go do these things. That's next level. That's, it goes from kind of the idea of I want to change my life to I'm actually doing it, and it's uncomfortable and sometimes it's hard, but I'm doing it, and that's a process.
It's definitely a process. But you know what? I sat alone one night and I just decided I want to see Keem 2.0. Who am I on the other side of all of this? And I decided like I want to meet the best version of me, and I don't want to die with like dreams. When I die, not if, like when I die, I want to die with memories. I want to be able to look back and say like, I really lived because I took chances that other people maybe wouldn't take. I did all the things that I really would have wanted to do to be the best version of myself. And it got to a point where I was sitting alone and I'm like, I feel stuck. I don't want to feel stuck. I don't want to feel like I have a ceiling on what I can do because it's only dependent upon if somebody else could take off of work and get the PTO time to come with me, or if I don't have anybody to come with me because they can't get a babysitter, or they need their car fixed, so they can't come on the trip. And I'm like, why would I not go to Dubai or maybe see Nelson Mandela's house, or, do everything on my bucket list because someone else's situation. Now I'm stuck because they're stuck. At least let me unstuck myself first,
Right.
So I just decided going for my dreams was better than dying with this regret because of someone else's lack of, like if I'm to blame me. So I just decided I just want to live. I don't even know how much, like you can check your account balance, and Jason, you know how much money is there, but you don't have an account balance on your time, so I'm like, I'm just going to live. And when it's all said and done and I am not here anymore, I'm happy with what I did. You don't have to be rich, but you can be like rich in monetary, like, tangible things, but you can be rich in life, rich in culture, rich in your experiences, rich in your friends. You might travel the world and end up making one friend in every country that you go to. And there's always 5 degrees of separation anyway in life, right? So why not just do the one thing that most people can't, which is actually enjoy your life? Truthfully,
I love the idea of, thinking, oh, I would like to meet, insert your name 2.0, like for the listener, you know what I mean? Like just that concept of, hey, there's like another version of me out there, and this is always the balance with like self-development type of stuff. Like, even if it's just, I'm not talking about the industry of self-development, but just, internally, you're trying to balance this idea of, I am enough, like, I accept who I am. I'm going to love myself, but also maybe there's a 2.0 version of me that I can work towards meeting or aspiring to without neglecting like the love for myself right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's an important balance to strike, I think.
Yeah. And like, I think for me as a woman, and I can only speak from my experience as a woman, because every woman around the world has a very different experience being a woman. But for me, I was kind of put into like a box. Like there was like this ceiling around what I could do as a woman. Like people would say things to me like, if your friends can't travel with you, then you need to wait until somebody else can travel with you, because you don't want to go out there and something really bad happen to you because you're a woman and you shouldn't be traveling alone. And I'm like, yeah, but there's just one
They're
thing.
not going to listen to you.
All right. Like, I'm like, yeah, but there's just one thing. I am from East Orange, New Jersey, which is like the ghetto. It's like the hood. And so when people say like, you shouldn't go out there because out there is crazy. And the world out there, like they would project that out there is so bad. And I'm like, actually, I'm from East Orange. I don't know. I have my common sense. I have my street smart. But when there's shootings every week, I don't know how much more dangerous out there is compared to growing up where I grew up. So for me, I feel like my journey as a woman, people always put a ceiling on what I could do as a woman. Like, oh, no. You cannot. Why are you going to Dubai? Dubai, if you've been to Dubai, it's actually pretty safe, and there are so many resources for people who are traveling abroad. That's not just like female. The U.S. Embassy has the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, where you can upload your itinerary with the local U.S. Embassy. So there are plenty of ways that you can remain safe. So yeah, I just think that for me, I just had to cut out all the naysayers, cut out all the noise, and just say, listen, the woman that I want to be looks like this. She talks like this. She walks like this. These are her habits. And she is ascending to make a big impact and also learn her purpose. And for me, solo travel really helped me step into my purpose because I went from having a horrible girls trip and just a horrible year to helping 12,000 people not only ace their first solo trip, but flip their bills into boarding passes. And had I not sat in my bedroom one night and said, you know what, I feel stuck, something has to change. And, this is probably like the deepest interview that I've ever done because nobody's really talked to me about what it felt like to get on the plane. That's why I'm like, Jason, I'm kind of about to cry a little bit because I'm there. I'm back on this plane. And I'm thinking about everything now, so all of the feelings are starting to come back, and if I would have never stepped over my fear and said, you know what, I'm doing it scared. I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it scared. But I'm going to do it. The first step, first foot, pack the bag, first outfit goes into the bag. Okay. Plane, ticket purchase. So there was all these like little micro commitments to get me up to that one step, Jason. But now helping 12,000 people do this, it's like, look at how so many other people were impacted when I stepped out on fear, So, for all the listeners out there, if you're scared, do it scared. Be prepared. But take the first step, even just the little micro commitments, because this term of being an influencer, I really hate the term because everyone is an influencer. I could see your hat, Jason, and be like, I love your hat. I think I'm going to buy that. That doesn't have anything to do with followers. You can walk past a guy at the store and like, you're like, oh, I really love his sweater. I think I'm going to go get that sweater. So we're all influencers. Like everyone has influence. There's not a quantitative number in my head associated with how you can influence somebody by just your way of living. So to all the listeners out there, man, just make sure that whatever you do it scared. Believe in yourself. You have no idea what's going to happen for you on the other side of that one decision or those small little micro commitments or how it's going to walk you right into your purpose.
You could read about all the different ways you can travel and you can do all the things, but this is why I love this format because we can go deep and kind of, really get the sort of the behind the scenes on what it took and all the kind of micro commitments you had to make and the hurdles. And I love the mantra of do it scared, like sometimes it's just one thing you need to say that just kind of, that mantra might change, but sometimes I think that's all super helpful for listeners here. Everybody's going to take away different things from this. I'm curious for you, because you mentioned, kind of alluded to the bad girls trip and some of the other things that happened along the way. I mean, you mentioned the naysayers, and you're always going to have like people like that where you have to kind of block out, whether it's media or, people close to you. For lack of a better term, did you kind of have to eliminate people from your life? Like, did certain people kind of have to go? Did you have to kind of do an inventory on like who you were spending time with and just kind of dial back in order to sort of fulfill your quest to reach Shakeemah 2.0?
So yes and no. Yes and no at the same time. You know what they say, like two things could be true at the same time. So there were so many people, my whole entire family, my entire friend group were telling me, please don't take this first solo trip to Paris. What if you get snatched, And that's not to say that human trafficking is not a real thing. We know that that's a real thing. So their concerns for me were genuine. I don't think that they were being malicious. I think that they were scared. However, I had to kind of let my family and my friends know, I understand that you're scared for my safety. However, I need you to be a little bit introspective with yourself, because maybe you're scared for me because you don't think this is something that's possible for you. But I want you to think about how fearless I am. Now think about if it's possible to take a first solo trip. I took my first solo trip. I loved it so much. While I was in Paris, I actually flew to London. So this was like a 2-for-1. I came back after those 11 days and I said, you know what? I'm going to do this by myself from now on. And from there, my family was cheering me on. When I got back from London, all the pictures that I sent my mom while I was on vacation in Paris and London, she framed them all and like put them all up on a wall in her house. She was very proud of me. She was like, I cannot believe my daughter got home safe. I didn't know what was going to happen to you. And even thinking about it now, I'm emotional because my family watched me do something that they never thought was possible, that they could never fathom. And so once I did that, I started traveling more and more. And my friends were like, oh, I found this other country that maybe you can go to. And I'm like, yeah, like, let me do my research and let's see, And from there, my family just really rallied around me and was like, yes. And my mom said, my daughter's never home. She's always abusing her passport. You're the passport abuser. And I looked at my mom and I said, Mom, that's it. And I went and I trademarked the name and I changed my screen handle to the passport abuser. The name was trademarked. And so like my parents were super duper, my whole family was super duper supportive, but I had this one girlfriend. There's always going to be like a hater out the group that shows their true colors, right? I had this girlfriend, and when I hit country 34, I was on a plane to Johannesburg, South Africa, country 34. I'll never forget. I pulled out a pen and a pad and I started writing every single thing that I had ever learned throughout those 34 countries in this ugly yellow notebook that I had been keeping with me since Paris. Because when I was going to Paris, Jason, I said, okay, what is all the things that could go wrong? What's scaring me? So I wrote down all the things that could go wrong on the left side of the paper. On the right side of the paper, I wrote down what I could do to fix it. What if I get sick? Okay, where's the nearest hospital to the hotel? What if I get lost? Okay, I am going to do X. I just had all these things. Okay, in my hotel room, I'm going to make sure that I have a door jammer underneath the hotel door. So I started writing down like a list of things. So I had this yellow 5-subject notebook with me since trip number 1 to Paris, France. So country 34, I got this notebook on Qatar Airways heading to Johannesburg. And I started writing down just all of these things. And I text my girlfriend from the plane and I said, I'm going to develop a course because women are DMing me every single day and I find myself typing the same answers every day. But if I develop a framework, it eliminates me answering the same questions every single day in my DMs. I can just give them like a framework. And my girlfriend said, that's a stupid idea. Who's going to buy that? And I developed this course anyway. And from there, Travel Like a Boss was born into like an actual course. This was not just my Instagram handle is the passport abuser because my mom says I abuse my passport. Like this actually became a mission for me to help people who want to take their first solo trip. And they're like, hey, I want to learn from somebody who's done it. And my mom said to me, you know, if you're a freshman and it's your first day of high school, you don't have to be a senior. You just have to be a sophomore. And so I realized in that moment,
that's powerful.
Yes. Miss Girl was dropping, she was making sure my mind was right. And so my mom said, Shakeemah, you don't have to be scared to put this course out, because being an expert just means that you know more than your freshman class. So think about your freshman class. You know, if it's your first day in high school, you don't need to be a junior in high school. You don't need to be a senior. You just need to be on your first day as a sophomore and can impart onto a freshman what they need to know to beat their freshman year of high school. And I'm like, oh, you know what? She's right. Just because I've been to 34 countries and not all of them doesn't mean that I don't have enough. 34 countries means that I'm a sophomore and I have enough knowledge to get you through your first solo trip, ace your first solo trip. And so my mission just became, I'm going to help everyone, whether you're a man or a woman, ace your first solo trip. And by the time 2020 came around, it was bills to boarding passes. You know, like I had already done at least probably 50 or 60 solo trips. And at that point, I was like, okay, how can I just stop paying for it? Right? Like, how are the wheels turning in my head about like, how can I just like not pay for this? And that's when bills to boarding passes was born. So that became a whole different methodology. But yeah, like it's been an amazing journey, but it had to start with me, not my mom, not my sister, not anybody, just me.
A lot of great stuff there. I mean, well, we're going to now, since you mentioned kind of the wheels were spinning on how we can do this for free without paying, we're going to get into those tips in a second. But I do just want to highlight, you know, what your mom said about the sophomore year analogy. I mean, that's so great, because I think like, yeah, it's just so easy to kind of compare yourself to, especially with the internet now. Like you can find the world's foremost expert in X, Y, or Z, anything that you want to maybe teach or some industry you want to get involved in or whatever. And it can be so intimidating, but to remember that like what your mom said, that, you know, you only really need to know more than somebody else that you're helping, you know, or, you know, have enough knowledge for that person. And in some ways that's an advantage because you're closer. You can recognize that person in a different way because you were them maybe not so long ago, you know? So there are a lot of advantages to that. I think that was just kind of worth highlighting that can be a very empowering kind of mindset, I think. We'll get back to the interview in just a moment.
This episode is brought to you by Fandango. People say fans are too distracted these days, but the truth is, when a great movie hits the screen, you show up, you stay glued, invested, part of the story. And without fans like you, there'd be no cinema magic, no shared moments. So head to Fandango.com to get tickets, stream, or rent or buy top movies and series. Fandango loves fans.
Not sure how to tackle your taxes? Are you sweating the small print? You may be experiencing FOMO, the fear of messing up. The answer? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it. With a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. It's time to take your taxes to the max. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Now, back to the show. Let's hear some of your tips. You have 3 kind of what do you want to call this? Like ways you can fly for free without opening a credit card, kind of using the traditional travel hacking thing. How have you been able to do it? What's the best advice? I mean, you know, we're going to fish for the top, your very top 3 actionable tips right here. I mean, that's what we go for here on the show. I know you're going to bring it.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I was getting my master's and I could not, like I said, I could not take out any loans because I was still trying to buy a house. And so this also included credit cards, right? Like if you're applying for a mortgage, at least back then, I don't know what the process is like now, but they were like, hey, do not take out any loans. Do not do anything with your credit. Let's just pay down some of the loans that you have from the bachelor's degree. But you cannot take out any more loans for this master's degree based on what your income is as a social worker, because I worked as a social worker. And when I first started my job, I was working in child protection. So this job, when I first started in 2007, paid $42,000, which in 2007, I was 21 years old. And for me, this was a good job, but on paper, I had just finished a bachelor's degree and now I'm in a master's program at Montclair State University. And they were like, hey, listen, with all of these loans from your bachelor's and now you're starting your master's, you cannot, you're not going to be able to qualify for a mortgage if you take out more. So in my head, I'm like, okay, how can I do this? That is when airline shopping portals came into play. So most people don't know about this, but your favorite airline, whether it's international, whether it might be domestic, but they're mostly domestic airlines within the United States, they have what's called a shopping portal. So if you Google airline shopping portals, a bunch of them are going to pop up. Emirates Airline has one. Delta Airlines has one. American Airlines has one. United Airlines has one. And the beautiful thing about airline shopping portals is that there are over 1,200 stores on these shopping portals. So if you are a woman and you go to Ulta or Sephora for concealer, then that concealer is 3 miles per dollar. You can also go into a store and get miles as well through these airline shopping portals. So I started purchasing everything through airline shopping portals. You don't need a credit card with the airline to shop through an airline shopping portal. So for instance, when I purchased my very first home, I wanted to renovate the basement. Home Depot was given 10 miles per dollar. So I went and got the supplies. I go to Macy's, Carter's, Walmart.com. We all do Walmart runs. At least I do the Walmart runs, especially late at night. Well, American Airlines and Emirates and Delta Airlines, United Airlines, they are going to give you airline miles for all of these purchases. My mom wants a cake from Harry and David. That's 5 miles per dollar. So first thing is go through your airline shopping portal. And this is super easy. There is no price markup. You don't need a special checkout or anything. They take you directly to the retailer's website. So definitely my first tip, without having a credit card, if you know that you shop online for everything, Chewy, right? For your pet, right? Just anything. Even when I get tires for my car, I get them through an airline shopping portal and Tire Rack gives me 5 miles per dollar for the tires. I have them delivered to my house. And then from there, I have a mobile person come to my house and put them on the car. So
you're just going to grab every mile you can.
Absolutely. And without a credit card, because some people are trying to buy a house. And especially now, when I purchased, so I had my first house and that was a condo. Then in 2015, I bought my second house. So I had to get a conventional loan because I couldn't go back FHA. So in 2015, I bought another property. And even in 2015, that property, the interest rate was 2.5%. And my sister just bought a house last year. I think she said she paid 7%. So with mortgage rates being so high, people are probably even more concerned about their debt to income ratio as they're applying for these mortgages. So yeah, one of the ways that I earned miles, even back then when I was just dipping my toe into it, and it wasn't a lifestyle, but it was just a hack that I could use to earn miles without credit card debt, was airline shopping portals. So that's one of the first tips that I would give anybody. You're already spending the money. You already have to go to Staples. You're already, earn airline miles. Even with gas, right? We let's consider things that we do every single day, right? So you probably, unless you're taking rideshare, you probably drive into work every day. some of the listeners are dropping their kids off at school every day and don't live in a metropolitan city that they can take the train to drop their kids off, or like a ride share. Some people are actually taking that long commute to work, picking the kids up from school. Well, American Airlines, if you guys just go into Google, and I'm being very explicit because I want the listeners to be able to go into Google and say airline shopping portals. And I'm being very explicit. If you guys go into Google and type in American Airlines fuel rewards Shell gas station, like just type in those keywords, American Airlines fuel rewards Shell, and you'll notice that American Airlines will actually give you 3 miles per gallon of gas that you get at Shell gas station without a credit card at all. So not only are you earning miles when you go to Walmart and you buy your shampoo, your Q-tips, your toothpaste and your soap, but now when you're driving to work or sitting in traffic or picking the kids up from basketball practice, that is also airline miles for your next family vacation or your next solo trip as well. And that does not require any credit card.
Okay. And just to be clear, you mean, when you say no credit card, you mean like no travel rewards credit card or no, like, American Airlines credit card or whatever? Are you talking about you could obviously use any credit card to pay for an online store, but you could also use debit cards, I guess, or whatever, if you're using your debit card, just to kind of clarify. That's what you mean, right?
Yeah, Jace, thank you for pointing that out, because even though a credit card is not required, you can use a credit card. And I actually love that, because now I get to double dip. So if I am going to a Shell gas station, I already know that American Airlines is going to give me 3 miles per gallon. But since I paid with my Chase card or my Amex card or my Citi card, now I'm earning Amex points or Chase points.
Yeah, you're going to get it on
right.
top.
So now we're double dipping. So if you go to an airline shopping portal, you go on American Airlines shopping portal and you click Walmart and it says 3 miles per dollar. When you get to the Walmart website, you can then pay with your Chase or your Amex or your Citi, and you're going to get miles from them because that's your method of payment, but you're also going to get miles from American or Delta because that's whatever shopping portal that you chose to go through. So double dipping.
Well, through this, before you had a credit card, before you had the travel card, so you were able to accrue enough miles to get a free flight?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yes, I have literally traveled to Japan for $6. It was $5.60 in taxes. I went to Greece for $5. Oh man, I wish this was a visual podcast so I can show receipts because I'm a receipt queen.
We believe you. You're the passport user. We believe you.
But yeah, so everyday purchases, boarding passes.
Yeah.
When you get gas, fuel for your car, boarding passes. And if there is not a Shell gas station near you, American Airlines has a partnership with a website called Simply Miles. So if anybody goes on simplymiles.com, they'll see the website. Simply Miles, in partnership with American Airlines, they will actually give you miles when you get gas at Amco and BP as well. So people don't think that, oh, well, when I fill up every Friday, when I get my paycheck and I fill up the tank, so that way next week I get to work all week and the kids get to school, that's airline miles. Also, just honing in on necessities, right, that people need. We talked about fuel for your car. What about electricity for your house? And natural gas.
I like electricity in my house.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know one person that doesn't want the lights on. Even, even if you have solar for the electricity, you still need cooking gas, right? Well, United Airlines partners with a company called NRG. And so if the listeners Google it, United Airlines, NRG, United Airlines will actually give you 12,500 bonus miles plus 2 miles per dollar that you spend on the supply portion of your gas bill and your electricity bill.
Okay. So this is your second tip. You could take some of your, are we sliding this in kind of another bucket? This is taking your household utilities and turning them into miles, would you say?
Exactly. I call it bills to
Okay.
boarding passes because you have
Bills to boarding passes.
because you have an electricity bill that you're already paying. But United Airlines, in partnership with NRG, they're going to give you 12,500 bonus miles besides American Airlines for my people living in Texas. So if we have listeners who are living in Texas right now, Southwest Airlines partners with an energy company in Texas called Reliant Energy. So if you are living in Texas, Google it, Southwest Airlines, Reliant Energy, and it's going to come right up. So,
So yeah, this is kind of like an example of everybody can kind of like do a little bit of research on their own situation based on where they are. But the fact that these partnerships exist shows you that there's maybe there's a potential for you, the listener, to take advantage of it, essentially.
Absolutely. So yeah, whether it's everyday purchases or gas for your car or electricity for your home, even like eating, right? Like right now we're like around that holiday time where people are going out to eat a little bit more because there's like holiday parties after work or families coming into town. And dining is more of like a social experiment. I mean, yes, we're hungry, but when you go out to eat with your friends, it's in my opinion, more like a social activity. Because I can eat at home or I can order in. So I don't actually have to go out and dine. But most people don't know this. If you Google your favorite airline, let's say it's American, United, Southwest, Delta, doesn't matter. If you Google your favorite airline and put dining program, you'll see that these airlines will give you airline miles for eating out. And that does not actually require any airline credit card, fee-based credit card, no credit cards. I'm just from the school of, the school of hard knocks, I guess I could say, because I could not get these credit cards back then. And I just learned, like, how can I earn airline miles doing the things that I already have to do that doesn't require any extra spending. I don't have to worry about a credit card limit or, not being able to pay it back at the end of the 30 days. These are things that I would normally do. I have to pay the light bill, got to get to work, need gas, need everyday things from Walmart, CVS. I'm a girl. I need hygiene products. I need things, how can I earn miles doing things that I'm literally doing every day in my walk of life? And that was how bills to boarding passes came.
That's great. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. So, I mean, those are 3 examples and, the overall mindset being take a look at the things, what I'm hearing, take a look at the things you're already doing and just see if there's a way to convert them into miles from the buffet to Bali.
Yes.
In the food example. Sorry, I couldn't pass up an opportunity for alliteration. Okay, well, you've been to 90 plus countries now, so I do want to ask you about, well, actually, before I ask you this, you mentioned, doing the courses and things like that. Do you want to just let people know, because this is part of what you teach and really helping people nail that first solo trip if they need help with that? You want to just share the things here so people know where to find you?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you guys can find me on Instagram and YouTube at The Passport Abuser. Also, my website, you guys, I have a free masterclass. It's free $99, where I give information. As you guys can probably hear, I'm very much a giver. So I'm going to give all the information and be very explicit about it, because once you guys get to Googling it, you'll go down the rabbit hole. Feel free to come to my website, bills2boardingpasses.com. And feel free to schedule a call with me.
Do you have a few hidden gems? I mean, we're always looking for the hidden gems here, but I really do like to highlight the destinations that are places that people have been that you think, kind of like, I never want to say your favorite, because it's a lazy question, to be frank. But, this idea of, like, I think it's more in the service of the community. If you're thinking about a place that you've been that's resonated with you, that you think, wow, why aren't more people here? Or like, people should get here because this is going to blow up and it's awesome now. Don't miss it. There's, hidden gem types. Like, everybody kind of has their own sort of way that they curate or think about these things. But, for you, what were a few of the destinations that you just like kind of blew you away, or just like can't wait to go back, or perhaps you just think they're overlooked and you're not quite sure why?
Right. So country number one for me, that's like underrated, that doesn't get enough shine, would most likely be Antigua and Barbuda. I moved to Antigua and Barbuda as an expat in 2020. No family there.
Wow.
No friends. Nobody.
wait a minute. This is a whole other thing to talk
being an
about.
expat.
Why
right?
did you do that? Why did you do that?
You know what? It was completely organic. I wasn't expecting it. So I went to Antigua to visit. I fell in love with the country. That was on June 24th of 2020. And at the time, they were the first country that opened up during COVID. I had a girlfriend named Amber. Her dad was from Antigua. And so she said, listen, it's COVID. We want to travel. Antigua opens up their airport on June 24th. Let's go there. And I was like, I'm dying to get out this house. We went to Antigua. I fell in love with it. I called my mom. I said, I'm going to come home. I'm going to pay off all my credit cards and I'm going to move. And I'm going to live here. And I felt so at peace. I felt safe. I just felt amazing. And mind you, I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anybody, but something told me that I was home. Something told me that I was home. And I really attribute the fact that by the time I went to Antigua, I probably had been to about 60 countries by then. So I was already used to being alone.
You had something to measure.
Right. Yeah. So, Jason, Antigua took my heart, and I went home. I paid off all my credit cards, and I resigned from my job. At the time, I had been working in child protection for about 13 years. I quit my job, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to work for myself and just bet on myself. So this was I felt more comfortable to make this micro commitment to bet on myself. It wasn't a micro commitment. It was a huge commitment, but it started with me solo traveling so much. So Antigua, I'm telling you, 365 beaches. The whole country is 11 miles long, 18 miles across. So you can see the whole country in like 49 minutes. Very tiny country, but very underrated. And it's honestly one of the most beautiful countries. So the next country that I had the best time ever in, that is so overlooked, Mauritius. It is a country off the coast of East Africa. You actually have to fly over Madagascar to get to Mauritius. I went to Mauritius and I fell in love with its beauty. And I just thought to myself, you know what? When the time permits, I will probably relocate to Africa in my later years, and I'll live in Mauritius. That was a country that I'm like, how could I leave? Like, I don't want to leave this place. So that was actually amazing. Another country that I feel does not get enough shine, in my opinion, Iceland. I went to Iceland and I was like, oh my gosh, this place is very cold, but extremely beautiful.
You went tropical and then all the way the other way. That was totally unexpected. I thought there was going to be one more like tropical island mixed in there. You took me off guard. That's awesome. Well, it's interesting that you ended up on in such a small country, given your desire for exploration. Is there something about the smallness of it that kind of makes it, that appeals to you? Because after exploring so much of the world, is it kind of nice to have a smaller area, I guess, to explore in a way?
So for me, I think the smaller area was great at first because the country is only 108 square miles. So even when you think you're lost, you're not lost, So that was less intimidating when I'm moving there as an expat, and I'm literally trying to learn what's my favorite restaurant on this side of town versus this side of town, and where do I want to live?
Your world shrinks. Yeah.
Right. I was like, how am I navigating this? But I think it was less about the size of the country and more about how I felt being in the country.
Yeah.
I just felt good. Like when I got off the plane, something said like, welcome home. And I had never felt that before.
I have to ask is how much of that is given the current state of America? Everybody can interpret that how they want. You felt at home there, but was some of that infused with just being outside of the United States and sort of the things that come along with living in the United States?
I'll be completely honest with you. That played a part in my decision to stay. Me being a woman of color, there's a certain set of things that I think about as I go throughout my day that a person who is not of color may not think about as quickly as I do. So in the year 2020, we had Sandra Bland. I'm sorry, not Sandra Bland. I forgot this girl's name, Breonna Taylor. We had Breonna Taylor in March of 2020 being, I think it might have been May. I'm not sure, but it was in 2020. And this woman is killed in her home. She's a Black woman. She's literally killed in her home. She's not out committing crimes. She's just in her house asleep. And then we have George Floyd in 2020. So by the time I made my exit in August of 2020, at that juncture, and then we had Ahmaud, I forgot his name, Ahmaud Aubrey. I forgot the guy's name, Ahmaud something. But he's just going for a run and he's killed. And so for me, I said, I don't think that even being in my own skin is safe in America. And that was just like the reality of the times that I was living in, that literally, like, I can't help that I'm born Black. I didn't choose my race, and not that I have an issue with being Black, but I'm just saying, like, I can't help that I'm literally just Black going for a jog. I cannot help that. So for me, I just felt that I would like to live in a place where when I get up and go for a run in the morning, that nobody thinks I look suspicious. I would like to live in a place where I am the majority. I don't stand out to anyone because everybody else here does look like me. We're in the middle of the Caribbean. My mom is Jamaican, by the way. So it did definitely push me. Not only did I love Antigua, but just with the climate of the United States, this just wasn't the best place for me. I'm literally driving to work, and when I see the police, my palms are sweaty because I'm like, oh my goodness. So it was really the best decision for me. And now that I've been out of the US, I don't ever see myself living in the US again. Even if I decide to move to Bali or Mauritius, another country, I don't see the United States for myself full time ever again. I just don't see it.
Racism is embedded in American society in a way that is very hard to describe if you didn't grow up in the country. And that's not me speaking for your experience. That's just kind of the perception of the United States and what the culture is. And then you have these experiences you're talking about, that these things that have been happening, and also your just day-to-day experience where you can't even feel comfortable going on a jog down the street in a neighborhood, which is ridiculous. And so, there's places that you can go where you can feel comfortable doing that. And it's like, it's funny because there's this whole perception. This isn't a political podcast, so I don't want to get into too much into it, but it's just like, there's this sort of like idea of, oh, America, like everybody wants to come here. And like, meanwhile, a lot of people want to leave. Like, people are leaving because of a lot of these reasons that you're saying, and people have other reasons, and health insurance and all kinds of things. So it's sad. I don't know. That's what the country is right now, I guess. It is funny to think that there are people that are afraid to travel and leave the United States when you think about how violent the society is.
Yes, because people say like, oh, don't solo travel. The world is so dangerous. And I'm like, actually, they don't in
You're
America,
living in one of the places that
right.
people don't want to go because it's too dangerous.
Like,
you're one of those places.
Yes, like I tell women this, and they're like, I don't know, because and I'm not singling women out, but I'm just saying when I speak to men and women, women's concern is more so safety, and guys, when I speak to them, their concern is like, okay, well, the logistics, how can I do this, But when I speak to women, they're like, I don't know, seems pretty unsafe to go to Switzerland or Paris alone. And I'm like, honey, you can't go to the mall. You can't go to Walmart without, you can't send your kids to school and believe that they'll live by lunch. You can't go. So I'm like, you live in America, honey. Wake up, And that's not to be condescending, but I'm just like, guys, they don't have mass school shootings in Denmark. They don't have so
Yeah. I mean, I love where I grew up and, I have family there and everything. This isn't like, it's complicated, it's not just like it's this or that, but my kids are 7 and 9 now. And I thought it would be cool if like 1 year, maybe we spend like a year in the States and they could like go to school and experience that, like a cultural thing. This is part of their family background. They're half American. I shouldn't say American because then South America is America too. So people know what I mean though. But then I'm like, man, I really don't want my kids to have to like experience being at school and going through an active shooter drill, for example. Just these things that are part of daily life that are just accepted as, well, this is what we do now. It's just, it's I'm seeing it all from afar and I'm not in the culture every day. So, I can get blinded by media and things like that too in reverse. But there are certain things happening that's just, it's been interesting to follow since I started this podcast and seeing how many people have really made an effort to kind of, relocate and just realize that there's other places that offer different lifestyles and different things. And that's what, a lot of this show is also, we talk about lifestyle abroad and things like that. But, moving to another country, as you know, it's not all, peaches and cream and rainbows and unicorns and all the things they say. I mean, there's challenges with, figuring out where do I fit into this culture? And, you're always a bit of an outsider, even if you're living there. And that's, I mean, overall, sounds like you've had a great experience. Have you had some of the expat challenges of like, what has that been like for you?
Absolutely, I have. So, and we're just keeping it 100% real on the podcast.
Yes.
That's
what we do.
Yes. Like me living in Antigua has definitely come with challenges because I've had people say, mark up the price. As soon as they hear my accent, they know I'm American. They know, and so that's a challenge. The fact that because, I don't speak like them, they know, oh, she's an expat. If it was $10, it's $20 now. So one of my challenges is literally I'll text one of my friends and I'll say, hey, can you ask questions about this car or about this apartment? Because I'm afraid that if I call, they're going to say, oh, she's an American. She got it. And then they're going to charge me more.
For like a major purchase. That's smart.
Another issue that it's not an issue, but another concept that has come up that I struggled with in my first year is when you're living in the Caribbean, they are truly on island time. Me growing up in East Orange, New Jersey, where I'm literally less than 10 miles away from New York City, I believe that everything is a microwave. Yesterday, everything. If I say I need it, that means I needed it yesterday. That means you get it now. But in Antigua, if you want something, you have to wait. It's a patient thing. They don't have that sense of urgency, which means you need to calm down. So like when you go into a restaurant, you're like, listen, I've been waiting 30 minutes for my food. And they're like, okay, the guy went to go catch the fish and he's going to come back and scale it and we're going to make the fish, but we have to catch the fish. He hasn't come back from catching your fish. And my girlfriend, who's half Antiguan, half American, her mom is from Dallas, but her dad is from Antigua. She's like, listen, this is going to be the most freshest fish sandwich of your life, but it takes an hour. We don't have a fish patty that we're going to fry up for you. You have to wait for your fish. This is fresh fish. We live on an island. And then I realized, oh, okay. So every time I want something, I really have to wait. Or even when you order something from them, like at a pharmacy, they're like, okay, come back tomorrow. I'm like, tomorrow? Fill the prescription in 20 minutes. They're like, okay, we'll have the prescription ready for you then by the end of the day. But so their mindset is what's with the fact, like, you know, and it's like,
especially coming from the East Coast.
Right,
yeah.
Get it. Go get it now. Like, and they're like, well, no, like, why are you in such a rush? Just calm down and come back later on today. We'll have it. Like, so everything, their mindset is, Miss, why are you in such a rush? And so after my first year, I just really had to get it. Like, anything that you want in the Caribbean, and it's not just Antigua, because I've been to Grenada, I've been to St. Vincent, my mom is Jamaican. Whatever it is that you want, slow down. Nobody's in a rush.
Has it like changed your mindset? Has it slowed you down? Like, or are you still that East Orange girl, like, come on, guys, let's get it together here.
It depends. So when I'm in Antigua, I have this mindset already, Jason, that if you're hungry, you need to say you're hungry 2 hours before you're hungry, because we already know that, you know.
So after breakfast, you should go out for lunch.
Start ordering your lunch now, because, right. So when I'm in Antigua, I'm much more relaxed, because now I don't even fight it. I'm like, yeah, I know that that's going to take forever. If they say 2 business days, that's 5 business days. I know them. But as soon as that plane lands in New York, I'm like, all right, so I need an Uber, which means we need an Uber now, which means, like, so it's just a different.
Yeah, it comes right back. Yeah. Do you get reverse culture shock coming back to the States?
Oh,
now?
my God. I cannot be in the United States. Like, I remember living in Antigua. I didn't come back right away because I truly wanted to assimilate. I came back home, and like a year later, Jason, and I said to my mom, you know what? There's no cows crossing the street. I can't walk down the street and like pick a tree and it's like a coconut in a tree and I already have coconut water for free. Like, our country grows food. So while you're driving around Antigua, you see mangoes on the side of the road. Pick up the mango, pick them up, put them in your car, take them home. Like, so it's like there's a hibiscus flower right in front of my apartment building. You pick the flower, you take it in your house, you boil it, and that's hibiscus tea. And so when I came back to New Jersey, I'm like, there's no like food on the side of the road. Like, while you're driving to the store, you could just see the mangoes and you see the mango tree and you just get the mangoes and take them home. Like, so yes, I was culture shocked, because I'm like, oh, y'all Americans, y'all are overstimulated. Y'all are doing way too much, y'all Americans. And so my mom is like, y'all Americans. And I'm like, yeah, like, y'all just too active. Y'all, this is too much. Like, we don't have fresh food. Like, why? We can't just go and just get the fish and like, like, so I said to my mom, like, I just totally, can't, I can't do America anymore. It's just not for me.
Have you inspired your family to travel now? Because you've done so much. Has your mom come to visit?
Oh my gosh.
Sounds like you guys are really close.
Yeah. So she's like my best friend. So my grandmother comes to Antigua. My grandmother's retired as a school teacher. So my grandmother comes to Antigua typically from November to April. And my mom comes down every other month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
every other
come
month.
A lot.
Yeah, oh no.
Wow.
Yeah, because I live down there by myself. So besides like my few friends, there's really nobody in the country that really can account for my daily, like, let me check in on her. So I speak to my mom and my siblings every day. My siblings come down. They come down like twice a year, not every other month, but like they pop their head in each in their own little way.
But nobody's gone as far as to say they're moving there quite yet.
Yeah. So
your grandmother's been the closest, I guess.
Yeah. So my mom retires every day. She's like, I retire 1 year, 8 months, 1 year, 7 months. Like, and my mom is on it. So when my mom retires, she will come to reside with me in Antigua full time.
Okay. Wow. Amazing. Well, it was such a joy.
Thank you.
Getting to chat with you. I appreciate all the tips you shared today, the destination advice. I mean, just, taking the time to kind of go deep and share your story, which I found super inspiring. And I'm sure people listening did as well. And I feel like there are a lot of takeaways in this one, not just the practical stuff, but also, just the mindset stuff around travel, which is huge, which is the thing that really in the end gets you out the door. The rest is just logistics, but hey, free plane tickets help too.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, this was great. Thank you so much. And let me know if you ever come through Norway. We'll do this in person next time.
Oh, I would love to. I love Norway.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.
There you go. I want to say one more quick thank you to Shakeemah Smith for stopping by the show. The Passport Abuser. I love that nickname. Check her out at travellikeaboss.com. And I'm going to leave you with a quote to wrap this one up from Gilbert K. Chesterton, who said, "Art consists of limitation. The most beautiful part of every picture is the frame." It's a different way of thinking about art. And we talked about reframes and changing the lens through which you see something, changing a mindset based on a perspective heard. I think Shakeemah offered so many insights throughout this conversation and opportunities to do just that. And so I thought this would be a nice quote to wrap this one up. So I hope you enjoy that. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, our newsletter is free, zerototravel.com/newsletter. Sign up over there. And you can get in touch with me anytime, jason@zerototravel.com. And if you're ever coming through Oslo, Norway, where I live, please drop me a line. Maybe we can meet up and have a coffee or something. Thanks for being a part of this community. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. Peace and love to you and yours. Cheers.
This podcast has been brought to you by zerototravel.com. Ideas and advice to make your travel dreams a reality.